welcome to We Know Kenobi episode number probably 2 or 3. It's one.
This is our third episode.
Yeah, this is the third episode of We Know Kenobi. Man, this is a very normal and scheduled podcast. This is coming out exactly when we said it was, and it's going to be exactly what we promised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's podcasting is as easy as it is. It's also a difficult thing to keep up with.
Yeah.
We haven't done summer podcasts ever.
Yeah, we've never podcasted during the summer.
So like we're doing more than we've done before.
Yeah.
But we've never had this sort of weird thing where it's like juggling vacation and me. I'm juggling class, work, trips. You're juggling work, trips.
Yeah.
Being a brother and stuff.
Yeah.
It's somehow busier in some ways than a school year.
It really is.
But it also allows us to talk about Star Wars. I don't know where I was going with that, but we're gonna. I'm glad we've had this 2 weeks off because, like a week and a half ago, I was stewed in negativity about people's reactions,
mm-hmm.
And then the next week I was like, I'm not gonna worry about people's thoughts. I'm just gonna enjoy this. And then now I've sort of come full circle and everything. And, I always know what bothers me about Star Wars fans, but don't need to dwell on it. So
if you haven't guessed already, we will be covering episodes 4 and 5 in this episode. Literally 11 hours. Not even. Wait, no, we're literally only like 5 hours before the finale comes out. So This will be coming out even closer. So we may do a shorter episode just so it comes out. I mean, not like a shorter in terms, but whatever. It'll be like an hour or something. Or something along those lines. But anyway, we want to get it out as soon as possible so that there's still a reason for you to listen to it. But even if you don't listen to it, we're having a good time talking, and that's what we're here for. This is for us to get together and just randomly talk about Star Wars because no one else will let us rant about Star Wars for an hour at a time. That's all this is. This is just our outlet to not annoy our families. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about episodes 4 and 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I almost called the show We Know Kenobi, but that's the name of this show. As you can tell, we're out of the loop a little bit. We haven't podcasted in about 2 weeks, so give us a second. We'll get into it. Christian, anything crazy Star Wars happened in your life since last time we recorded? We've had a long time, so didn't know. Got any fun Star Wars news?
I'm not sure, other than just, I'm still watching Rebels. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. I'm wondering, are you still playing Lego Skywalker Saga?
I've been having to take a quick break from it because I've been so busy and also just don't have my PlayStation set up at my house right now. I haven't really been playing any video games since I've been home. But I will say the one Star Wars thing that's happened with me recently, my girlfriend lives at the beach during the summer months, and she was with a large group of people, and she does this funny thing where if there's single guys in the group, she'll mention me or something. I don't know. Single guys can be crazy, and she wants to, she says she likes to make sure they know she's not on the market or whatever. But her way of telling them that she had a boyfriend was, hey, you guys should listen to my boyfriend's podcast, and then proceeded to plug our podcast for 20 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I see it. At first I was Oh yeah, I got it. As a deterrent for guys bothering her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, linking up Star Wars fans is also.
But then she made me look like an absolute nerd because the only thing that they know about me is that I have a Star Wars podcast, which yes, is a very nerdy thing. Like it's,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she was basically
It's
like, "Hey, you guys should listen to my boyfriend's podcast," and then pulled it up and was like, "You guys, look, this is it." And so I don't know if they're listening, but if they are, that would be kind of funny.
that's the ultimate pride though
Yeah.
to have. It's to not only is to mention someone you know's podcast and let it exist outside of the internet.
Yeah.
Although I mean, what do you think happens more? We talk about it in real life with other people, or we post about it online?
We don't really do that good about posting about it. I mean, I post every time an episode comes out, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Honestly,
Anyway,
other people post more than we do about our own podcast.
That's true. It's
And
like
it's
a
only
working
two
thread.
people. It's only two people, and it's Rural Farm Boy. Shout out to that guy on Twitter. Who, like, every time we release an episode, we're always part of his listening for the week. So we do appreciate you. And the other one is Daniel, who runs Star Wars Nowadays, who will, like, every couple of weeks he'll send us a nice message, which is always we love it. So honestly, those people post more about our podcast than we do, which is kind of sad.
Yeah. Although I did tweet on the account the other day.
Really?
Yeah, Daniel had posted something about Kenobi Part 4, I think. I don't remember what. I literally took part in the conversation. I don't remember what I said.
I'm pulling it up now if you want.
But it was something about Kenobi, and I think he was struggling with the idea of like what Bail, Yoda, and Kenobi's like idea of the future and how to handle the twins. And I basically responded as like, oh, maybe I don't. The show is about Kenobi trying, to forget all that and then come into his own as Obi-Wan, and it's less about a plan and more of like a rebirth sort of thing. It's a very vague paraphrase, I think, of what I said. I almost did a whole thread, and then I was like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah. I think I'm reading it now. He even compares Obi-Wan to the Last Jedi Luke.
Yes, which is, I think he meant that in a positive way.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love about the show. That's not that this is, I don't think this show is universally loved. But I would say that the people who are loving this, if they don't like Last Jedi, I feel like Kenobi could contextualize a lot of things with the way it's drawn out. That like there's a lot of similar beats, a lot of the same feelings that Obi-Wan goes through. Mm-hmm. It's a different. I think some people might approach it in a different way though, because like Luke is like the hero, the protagonist, and it's harder to see the protagonist falter and fail and feel sorrow, as opposed to Obi-Wan, who was always the mentor. Whether it was the prequels or the original trilogy, he was the guide who did his best. So I get that there's not a one-to-one comparison, but in terms of what these two Jedi went through, I love further legitimizing ideas that were put forth in The Last Jedi. So
yeah, I agree. Well, I don't want to harp on you. I'm not trying to get upset with you, Christian, but you did not do the synopsis that you were supposed to have done. So we can do this in two ways. We can either you go ahead and try to do the synopsis, because didn't you rewatch the episodes?
I've seen part 4 3 times and part 5 2 times.
Cool. So you could probably do a better synopsis than I could off the top of your head, or I can skim the episode and give a synopsis while I'm skimming the episode, and we'll see what happens.
I'll do it off the dome.
All right, cool. So I say we just start with episode 4. We're going to do these as 2 separate discussions. We're going to discuss chapter 4, and then we're going to discuss chapter 5. This is not like our Bad Batch talk where we kind of discuss everything as a whole and how it fits together and like that. We missed a week, but we still want it to feel like almost like 2 separate podcasts, but like 2 separate shorter podcasts. So we're going to talk about episode 4 first. So Christian, if you would like to regale us on what happens in episode 4 of Obi-Wan.
Hold on. Okay.
Too much sand.
Where to begin? The Disney Plus logo comes across the screen.
I'm gonna press the +10 button like four or 5 times.
I believe he's tooling with you, sir. So okay, we start with Obi-Wan, and then in a stretcher, and he's getting all these vague flashes of like, oh, he's being rescued, sort of thing. Because remember, last episode he was burned alive.
Yep.
Then he's in the back of the tank, and he is in pain because of his burn wounds, and he's got a breathing apparatus, and it looks a lot like Vader. And what do you know? They intersplice cuts, of that vision that he had of Anakin in the back of the tank.
The match cuts.
Much like, yes, the match cuts. It really feels like they're like Obi-Wan went through the same thing, not the entire same thing, but he had a taste of what Anakin had to go through, and it's less horrifying because of that. And he's sort of going through like a rebirth sort of thing. But then he gets up out of the tank and he's like, "Where's Leia?" Bit of a callback. I think that happens in Empire Strikes Back. I know it happens in Last Jedi where Finn wakes up and he's like, "Where's Rey?" Lots of good parallels. So Leia is being interrogated by Reva. I forget. Does the interrogation happen on the ship or in the Fortress Inquisitorius?
It's in the fortress.
Okay, I was just like, that we never see Leia be taken in. Do we?
Yeah. I don't know.
They didn't have like an Imperial stroller that Reva was pushing.
That would be great.
We only have a Reva entrance. But yeah, the Jedi Fallen Order, Fortress Inquisitorius. I did my research, Spencer.
Is that in Jedi Fallen Order?
Fake fan.
I literally beat that game, and I cannot remember. Okay. Oh, it is. Duh. It's like the whole end of the game is. Yeah. No. Okay. Brain fart. I'm ready.
It's the planet where there's a big Imperial base, and the base looks like a certain object from everything, everywhere, all at once. You know what I'm talking about?
The bagel.
No, not the bagel.
I know.
The employee of the month thing, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Focus. Reva is trying to convince Leia that the Jedi won't come for her. Obi-Wan is dead. And Leia is shocked, has trouble accepting this. And then back on Jabin.
She knows that Obi-Wan has plot armor.
Spencer, it's not we don't say that here. And then on Jabin, Obi-Wan meets Roken, who is the leader of the Path, and Roken is resistant to helping him because they are in risk of revealing the Path, and he doesn't want any part of that. And then Obi-Wan's like, well, yeah, unfortunately, this is your problem. You're gonna help us. And then uh, Obi-Wan's like, you have no idea what the Empire will do. And Rogan's like, well, I do have quite a bit of an idea. And I had a wife who was a Jedi, got hunted down, and so that's his motivation for wanting to help Kenobi.
Yeah.
And they don't know how they're gonna do this, but Tala is very sure that she wants to help Kenobi,
Mm-hmm.
and she's gonna use her experience as an Imperial to do so. And so they head off to Nur,
No.
the planet Nur.
I literally was like, "There's no way that's actually what the planet's called," but it's just called Ner.
Well, it's actually a moon,
Yeah.
the moon of Mustafar. Oh, man, it's hard to do these like back and forth things, but the general idea: Obi-Wan does his little Phantom Menace swimming entrance,
Mm-hmm.
gets into the Inquisitorius, Fortress Inquisitorius, goes on a little hallway excursion trying to find. So he's trying to find um, Leia and what this secure area is, and then Tala is she goes to this Imperial checkpoint and she has to scold an Imperial officer and has to basically just verbally abuse him until he lets her in.
It was pretty cool.
And
It was pretty cool.
And then she has to be the girl in the chair sort of thing, looking through the schematics and stuff like that, and using her comlink. So those are the two sides, and then Reva still interrogating Leia. Nothing's really working. Leia is resistant to the Jedi mind reading that Reva's trying to do. Reva's trying to assure Leia that that she'll spare her if she gives up the secrets, and Reva sort of empathizes with her and says, like, I had a droid and it was all taken from me. And we get the sense that Reva is not backing down from her dark side, lying or lies or anything like that, but she is revealing parts of herself to Leia and trying to connect with Leia in some twisted way.
Mm-hmm.
And Lola tries to attack Reva, but then doesn't really work out. And then I'm mixing the order of this, but an Imperial officer notices Tala, and he's like, "You're gonna have to come with me. You're not supposed to be here." And then she's like, "Okay," and then like does a little Spock thingy under his neck or whatever, beats him up, takes care of that. Business as usual. Obi-Wan has new Jedi robes. He's in the hallways with his new robes.
Love them.
A new robe. And then Secret Droid tries to get him, doesn't really, or almost sees him, doesn't see him. Okay, Kenobi finds the secure hallway of the Fortress Inquisitorius. And it's a Jedi tomb. Bunch of Jedi killed either in Order 66 or in the aftermath of Order 66, encased in amber. And the first one that he really looks at is Terra Sinube.
Yeah, I know that.
And then another one of those might have been Roken's wife. We don't know. And
and one of them was one of the kids from the opening of the show, I think, or it was the kid. It's either that or it was supposed to be the kid from Revenge of the Sith. It goes most of Scott. It kind of looks similar, but I think it's the kid from the opening of the show.
No, because of the training helmet.
Oh yeah.
And then right on cue, as Obi-Wan sees the youngling, he senses Leia is in trouble, as Reva has taken Leia into an interrogation room. And so Kenobi real quick tells Tala to make a distraction. And so Tala sends another officer down to the interrogation room and says to Reva, the officer says to Reva, I was told it could not wait. So Reva goes to Tala for this information about Kenobi. Meanwhile, Kenobi kills these stormtroopers in the dark with his lightsaber and rescues Leia.
Mm-hmm.
And what a lovely reunion. I was scared for Leia, and
Yeah.
he rescued her. And meanwhile, Tala is sort of stalling with Reva, almost convincing her, nearly convincing her that she was a spy and that she knows that Kenobi's on Florum, but kind of falls apart when Kenobi is discovered rescuing Leia. So then some troopers are sent after Kenobi. He has to duel away and, fight his way through the hallways. We love a good Disney Plus Star Wars show, Stormtrooper hallway fight. We can't get enough of those.
Exactly.
And then, there's a few Stormtroopers that like come to him first, and as well as like an officer with a long little coat. More on that later. And then the troopers Reva sends, including a purge trooper, comes after him on the other end. So he has to keep Leia safe while deflecting their laser bolts. And then he like closes a blast door. And then they get through the blast door, and one of the bolts he had deflected breaks some of the glass, and so he has to hold that glass in so that they're not all flooded. But then he directs the glass towards the troopers, floods them, makes his escape to the other end of the hallway, where Tala is there to close the door to keep the water out. And then Kenobi takes the long trench coat, he wears it, and then Leia gets inside, and they do a little little rascals escape.
Yeah.
And then they have to smuggle Leia out of the base, and so Wade and Sully, I forgot to mention Wade and Sully, they are these pilots that work for, or everyman sort of roles within the path. And they're flying these T-47s that are used for sewage hauling, not for combat, not for destroying AT-ATs. These are foul-smelling ships.
That's funny.
With apparently room for 3 people. I didn't realize. There was room for 4 people. Anyway, they rescue Kenobi right as Reva is on their tail. Sully gets them out of there. Wade, unfortunately, is killed by Reva throwing a bomb at him. And Sully's really shaken up by that. And then T-47 boards his transport ship, which is a pretty cool shot. So then Roken comes and he's like, "Where's Wade?" And then Sully is like, can't say anything. And then Tala says, "I guess you're now soldiers after all." Gives her a flask, lets her drink away the pain. And then we're left with Obi-Wan and Leia holding hands and embracing.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. And before that, Vader comes in and like almost chokes Reva and is like, "You lost Kenobi. What the fuck is wrong with you?" And then she was like, "I know where they're going. I got a tracker. It's all good. Just trust me here." Where it goes, where they go, it will follow. And he's like, "Yeah, if you do this right, you're gonna be the Grand Inquisitor." Then we get the Kenobi, Leia, Sully sort of thing.
Yes.
I
really like your
4.
synopsi. They're very good.
It's about as thorough as I could get.
Yeah, they're a little bit longer.
It's probably more thorough than even my last one.
Yes,
but just not as eloquently put.
It's okay. Well, one thing that I'll say before we jump into the actual part of the episode is rest in peace, Tara Sinube. Like, yeah.
Yes. He was too slow.
He was too slow. He couldn't run away from Vader fast, or his Inquisitors fast enough.
And not to be a full-on speculator about the connectedness of everything related to that day of Order 66, but it seems like they're doing that with Bad Batch. Well, they already did it with Bad Batch. Grogu's story, now this. Tara Sinube was particularly known for training the Gathering Arc group of younglings. So whatever is there, I feel like it's possible that they could be exploring, like, part of Gunji's survival
But
could be
say yeah, because
related to Terasunube's
Gunji's
death.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's further. It's not a coincidence that within weeks of each other we know for sure Terasunube died in Order 66 because he was in his Jedi robes,
Mm-hmm.
and Gunji survived. Terasunube trained that arc, or at least we've seen him in particular train that group. I just want to get that out of the way.
Yeah. Well, I think that we should address the elephant in the room for this episode, and that is the fact that a lot of people didn't like this episode because they saw it as a filler episode, because there's no Anakin versus Obi-Wan in this episode. I think that was like the biggest point of discussion, is that there is no Anakin, there's no Darth Vader and Obi-Wan together in the same room in this. I don't think it's an issue. I think it's a good episode. We spent the first couple episodes, going with, Leia and Obi-Wan, and then we spent episode 3, with that kind of duel between Obi-Wan and Vader. But, we always need a little bit of Obi-Wan and Leia action, like, even if, and it still gives good Vader beats, between him and Reva at the end. Like, it may not have been a lot, but also, can people stop hating on Reva for no reason? Like, I don't know. She's a good character. I like her a lot. Stop hating on her.
Yeah, I don't want to go on too much about responding to people who don't like this, but I just think that managing expectations is such an important thing about being a Star Wars fan, and it's to put it into perspective. Like, some people are like really into, I don't know, a series of unfortunate events, or like just random other fandoms, or like, I don't know, Sherlock, things that take years in between things. Like Star Wars is a constant machine, even though we've had a bit of an off few years in terms of movies. Like, if you go into it knowing that everything will be revealed in time, it can really help you to take it one episode at a time and really just know that everything is for a purpose and everything is its own. Everything has the storytelling reason, and just always ask why.
Yeah, and I think it may be one of the reasons because I'm a OT fanatic and I love the original trilogy, but like Star Wars was never like super flashy all the time. Like the OT is not super flashy. There's like one lightsaber fight per movie. It's not like it was this huge flashy, every scene is an action. No, it wasn't like that. It relied on the beats and the moments between characters and the dialogue and like those good moments to push the story forward. And I love that. And so like an episode like this, where we're just seeing characters interact with each other and how that can change a character, and how, we know, well, I won't spoil episode 5 because we're not talking about it yet, but we get to see characters change more through interactions with other characters rather than just big action scenes. And I like that. But I may be an OT fanatic. The people who like the prequels like them more because it is more action movie-ish. I don't know. I
think part of it is like Clone Wars. Lightsabers are a dime a dozen in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Even that though, like Clone Wars does a great job of like fulfilling the Yoda quote of "Wars not make one great." For as much as it indulges in all the action, it always leaves you questioning, why are we all doing this?
Yeah.
And Kenobi as a show is very grounded in why Kenobi takes action. And this is the first episode where he is intentionally taking action and he knows where he stands. And like, I think people are taking it for granted because this is the Kenobi we all know and love.
Mm-hmm.
I think some people were taken aback by how he fights Vader in the last episode because he's not really. It's not the same thing as like A New Hope duel where he's defending but with purpose. And he's not really attacking. In part 3, he's defending because that's all he has the strength to do, and he's afraid.
I
Um,
also I also think people need to remember that Obi-Wan was not a duelist really. Like he was never really like he was a warrior in the Clone Wars, but like Obi-Wan's whole personality was always let me see if I can fix this with my words. I'm only going to fight if I have to. Like that was kind of Obi-Wan's thing. He wasn't a good pilot. He wasn't a great pilot. He was never like he is a good duelist, but he didn't want to unless he had to. So it's kind of like I think people need to remember that as well.
yeah, like I don't know. There's always something you can apply from Jedi wisdom when it comes to expectations of Star Wars. I don't want to fully bring in Episode 5, but Episode 5 does elaborate on the long known sort of Jedi thing of your goal is to preserve life, not take it.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way with stories, especially this Kenobi story, the goal is about him protecting Leia, not about him being a badass. Um, but yeah, what I also wanted to connect with Clone Wars is that people wanted Clone Wars flashbacks, and I just it's since the beginning I've said that like yeah they could do it. I don't really think it's necessary because it's so hard to imagine that as specifically what works. Well, more on that later, but
Yeah.
it's just weird. It's weird to immediately be like, okay, 39-minute episode. Why is it so short? People saying that, and like, why are there no Clone Wars flashbacks? Like, we were so weird for we were such clowns for thinking that. Like,
Well, and
this
it's like
is a Kenobi show.
you want to know why I think it's probably so short is because they made the whole series and they were like, all right, where's a spot that we can cut this thing 5 times? You know,
Uh,
like they probably
partially.
yeah. I mean, like I don't know. It's but also when it comes to like the Clone Wars flashbacks, it's like the thing that's driving Kenobi right now, the thing that is the most prevalent for Kenobi right now is what he had to do in Revenge of the Sith. That's what is making him the way that he is. That's why he is, you know, off on a deserted planet trying to stay away from people. It's why he has this, ridiculous like I don't want to say bond, but it's why he has this relationship with Vader is because of what happened in Revenge of the Sith. It makes more sense for any of your flashbacks to be either that or like I don't know, episode 5 kind of did it differently as well. But you get the point. Like the Clone Wars stuff is not what's driving Kenobi forward right now. It's not probably what's on his mind
Mhm.
anyway.
I do get the temptation to be like, well, wouldn't it be a cool way of bridging all these series and movies together to have Hayden Christensen in that armor? But there's just there's never been an indication that that's been super necessary. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but anyway, um,
I love me
yeah,
a
I
good
think
stealth mission.
overall, what I think is that like we finally got back to Clone Wars Obi-Wan, and I think people are so used to that I think people are kind of weirded out that we're getting that, but no Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Um, anyway, we've gone on too long about whether or not it's the filler thing.
Yeah. I'm upset that Obi-Wan never put on stormtrooper armor. Um, I'm not actually upset, but I
It
was.
would have been cool.
It would have been so cool for him to put on stormtrooper armor because it would have been like, yeah, he's the one that told Luke and Han to do it in episode 4 because he knows it works. That would have been so sick. But hey, to each his own. You know.
And like that was like when I made that prediction, it just felt like it felt natural that they would be doing like the personal story of Kenobi is this like bringing like a human drama element, a serial drama to Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
but also doing that serial adventure. Watch, come back next time and see if you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
uh, him doing one of those classic action things of like infiltrating the base, which he does in this episode,
Yeah.
is exactly the ambition of what the story is doing, and I think partially why they did some of the rewrites is to do something that feels like an indie drama within Star Wars, but also keep that adventure element. Um, I don't want to make this about me being right, but I feel like I just had a good attitude, and I'm rewarding myself for having a good attitude by saying I had healthy expectations for the show.
Yeah. Um, Another thing I really loved about this episode was just Tala being awesome. Um, you know, and I know that some people may be like, "Well, she didn't actually fight anybody." Sometimes you don't have to be awesome, okay?
But she did fight, and
She
I think
Well, she did, but I think
she
what's even more cool is the fact that when she went through a metal detector and the dude was like, "Hey, you can't be here," she was like, "Shut up." She literally was like, "I'm your boss. Shut up." And he was like, "Okay, I'm sorry." She's like, "Who is your?" She basically was like, "Don't make me tell your boss." And he said, "Okay,"
yeah.
and let
I
her
think
through.
some people. I mean, that's one that's happened in like Rebels. I think, um, and like people might burst at it like, how does that always work? The reason that works is because the Empire rules through fear, and she knows that. She knows about this cycle of abuse and
Mm-hmm.
violence and evil. She was a part of it, and she got out, and she's willing to go there, um, because she knows how the Empire ticks.
Well, it's also
And
like
I think, go ahead.
I was like, also think about all the times in Rebels when a no-name soldier walked up to another group of soldiers and just yelled at them for no reason, but because they had that cool badge on, they listened to them.
Yeah,
Like
I
they
think
do it too. It's not just the good people that do it. It's the Empire does it to their own people.
yeah. I think it's just so important to have all these different perspectives on like cycles of violence and trauma. Because Reva is that. Reva
Mm-hmm.
is this product. Reva and Leia are both sort of products of Anakin. Reva is,
Duh.
a one that got away in terms of like someone that he couldn't kill, and now she is this, endless cycle of rage and violence. And then Leia is the future of the good in Anakin,
Mm-hmm.
and um, she exhibits so many of his qualities, so many of Padme's qualities, and she is breaking the cycle. She's going to be part of bringing out peace. Obi-Wan is just at the center of this. He's gone through so much, and he doesn't know what is it like, what things he has to do to contribute to all this, to making this future happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tala being this sort of rebellion person that was in the Empire. Uh, and yeah, I just think initially I was like, why are they doing this? Why is she having this little side plot? And I think that's why. It's
Yeah.
because um, we're all guided by our experience, and she is equal parts rebellion and empire in terms of like what she can tactically use.
I also think that, I mean, in the same way that Finn was, I mean, we can discuss all day how Finn was not used well in the last, Rise of Skywalker, but that's another discussion for another day. But Tala is such a good example of someone who, and she's even different than Finn because she thought that the Empire was good. She thought the Empire was doing the right thing. She joined the Empire willingly. Unlike Finn. Finn was made to join the Empire or the First Order, but Tala joined the Empire willingly and then said, "Oh no, they're not doing the right thing." So she left and is now like, this is what ordinary people like. I think the whole point of Tala is showing what ordinary people who the Empire never did anything to her technically. Like they may have like fit mentally and assaulted her or something, like we were talking about just a second ago, treated her poorly, but they never like really did anything to her, but she understands what they do and she's willing to risk her life to save other people because she knows. And I think that's just a great view that we can have on the Empire. So,
and I think it also complements Cassian well too. I'm excited for Andor, and it's a little bit more of that of like she has to do all these drastic things in order to just to come up with a lot of different mini objectives to serve the greater objective,
Yeah.
And loss is such a part of it, and she comforts Sully at the end of being like, "Yeah, you're a soldier now. This is more. You can't be in secret anymore. You just engage with the Empire, and part of that is loss." I wonder if in the next, or by the end of the series, I can't say anything about that, but I don't know.
We might as well just move on to episode 5.
She gives her a drink, but like, it's from a good place.
Yeah, we might as well just move on to episode 5 because I've already wanted to spoil it like
talk about
3 times.
Talk about Obes Kenobes. Okay, the lightsaber twirl.
Mm-hmm.
One of the cutest things I've ever seen. That at that moment, if you didn't already think he was back, at that moment you're like, "This is Obi-Wan Kenobi again."
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that hasn't severely or significantly won people over if they did in like the first 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
That should tell you, you're still getting what you're familiar with. It's just a journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm so close to spoiling episode 5. We might as well go.
No, I think we need to talk about Reva a little bit more.
Okay. Well, there's a lot to talk about Reva in the 5th episode too. That's why I was gonna move on so we could kind of bridge.
I think first watch I was a bit disappointed because I thought we were getting redemption in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And
I thought Leia was. I'm honestly like, I know we were talking about like Leia reading her like a book, and she didn't, and I was kind of upset. I was like, the one person that Leia doesn't just like see right through.
Yeah, but I definitely had that assumption that Leia was gonna, clap back in some way.
But she didn't.
She did. Well, Leia did do the thing of like, look, I'll tell you where he is, but can I tell my father first? So it was sly. It wasn't. Leia didn't like insult Reva personally.
Yeah.
But she does like withstand that power very well to the point where Reva's like,
Yeah.
But yeah, managing expectations. I felt let down at first watch because of. I thought once Vader was introduced, then surely he would just sort of stay there.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool that they focused more on the sort of action adventure beats. I mentioned the hallway fight as a thing that they're doing in all these Star Wars shows. This is one of the better ones. I liked the flooding visual. But yeah, I think I was expecting a bit more from Reva, but I think we're underestimating how big the last 2 episodes are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then a quick update on the volume stuff. I know I made a complaint in episode 1 where I was like, these are the limitations of the volume and they don't always work for me. It wasn't a problem for me in part 3. It was a bit of a problem in part 4 because it feels like I think it's less of an issue with making the effects look believable and more with having a bold visual palette. And I think they're just sort of skimping out in favor of things looking realistic.
Mm-hmm.
The muted teals of the moon of Nur compared to like some screenshots I've seen of Jedi Fallen Order where it's like purple and orange and like very vibrant.
Yeah.
It feels like I don't think it fully needs to feel consistent with Mando. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they could have gone with some brighter colors. I love the amber parts of the Jedi tomb. That was cool. I just think that at some points they're just sort of making things bland where they don't need to be bland. Do you have anything technological that you want to talk about?
I think you kind of hit it. I think there are things they could do better. I'm just ready for Cassian. I'm ready for Andor when it's all shot
Creature
better.
effects. Yeah, full on creature shop stuff.
Yeah, I'm so like I know that I'm like the visual effects guy, and I love to like point out visual effects stuff. But I don't know, something about Star Wars practical effects, man, gets me. I love them. They look better too, I think. So, yeah, that's all. You kind of hit all of it. We've kind of beat this dead horse over the past couple of weeks, so we won't stay on it for a whole lot longer. But yeah, I'm ready for them to stop using the volume for every single piece of media that comes out.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
Okay. Part 5.
Yes. Would you like to do a shorter synopsis this time?
Part 5 begins with Anakin looking out to Padme's apartment on Coruscant.
Yes, I forgot. It flashbacks to Attack of the Clones era. Yeah.
Pre-Attack of the Clones. We started with a flashback of Anakin and Obi-Wan. I'm pretty sure it's Padme's apartment. It wasn't the Senate building. He was in the Jedi Temple. I'm pretty sure he was stalking Padme.
Yeah.
Because it's like a direct inverse of Padme looking at the burning Jedi Temple shot. Anakin looked to the horizon very much like Luke.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going on and on about one shot. But he and Obi-Wan begin in a duel. I don't remember what's said, but Vader flashes back to it. It's all in Vader's mind. And he's in hyperspace, pursuing Kenobi on Jabim. I'm sorry, I'm very congested. It's hard to... That's why I've been drinking so much water. Man, do you want to help me out with this?
I got you, homie. So basically, and I kind of gathered that the flashback was in both of their minds, because there's times when Obi-Wan is mentioning stuff that we learned from it, and then vice versa. I'm not super sure. I could be wrong. But yes, like you said, Darth Vader is going to Jabim, where he knows that Obi-Wan is going to be. And let's skim through this. We'll just go ahead and say this fight scene happens. It doesn't finish until like the very end of the episode, and you keep learning new stuff from it. But Reva becomes the Grand Inquisitor at the beginning of this episode, officially. Darth Vader grants her
patch. Her little
yes, she gets a little patch.
Inquisitor Girl Scout patch.
Yes, and then when Obi-Wan arrives on Jabim, we are greeted by Haja again. He said, "I now know what it's like to be a Jedi. It's really hard," which is a really good line. We find out, Lola basically she is being taken over by Reva, and she sabotages the whatever it's called, the room, so they can't take off in their new transport. Obi-Wan's about to go down or Darth Vader's about to go down and sends a whole battalion of people down, including Reva, to capture Obi-Wan, in which they now have like this full-on like defensive front against the Empire. But it is here that we learn that Reva was the young girl from the beginning of the show, and that she was there in Order 66. And we find out that she is not really with Vader, but she's trying to fight against Vader. Which that's that's kind of the revelation that we've been waiting for, is that she wants to fight Vader. But nonetheless, she still is going after Obi-Wan. And we have, what's the name of the droid? Big man?
Ned B.
Ned B is actually fighting people now in this episode. So we do get him, I think he's shooting a blaster.
He's shooting a battle droid blaster.
Yes. So Obi-Wan ends up actually, I guess not sacrificing himself, but he surrenders so that no one else gets hurt, and tries to talk to Reva about the possibility of him and her fighting against Darth Vader together. She kind of lets him go. She lets him go back into the catacombs-ish, but as if he got her, or like stopped her, or got away. Darth Vader finally goes to bring down the transport, but it was a fake, and so they actually escape on the last transport out, but not before Tala unfortunately sacrifices herself for. And that's kind of what we were getting at when we were talking about episode 4. Tala ends up sacrificing herself for Obi-Wan and for Leia and for everyone to get out away from Vader. Vader ends up finding Reva along with the Grand Inquisitor, who, to no one's shock, is still alive. He stabs her, and then she finds Obi-Wan's comlink that has a message from Bail Organa. So she now knows about the boy on Tatooine.
So I'm looking at the first shot again, and that's definitely Padme's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Just I remember the establishing shot from Attack of the Clones, where like they're going in the elevator. That is for sure Padme's apartment. He is sensing her from afar, longing for her.
Yeah,
it's possible that this is after Attack of the Clones, and they've already been married. No, it's not, because he doesn't have his metal hand. Yeah. This is before Attack of the Clones, so he's just sort of got a little crush on her.
Yeah, and this is before he's like seen her again, so he hasn't even seen her since he started his Jedi training still. At this point in time.
What did you think of the de-aging?
I think it looks good, and I know what a lot of people are going to say. A lot of people are going to say that he still looks older than he does in Attack of the Clones, but no offense to Hayden Christensen, he's got some wrinkles on his face. All right, like nowadays, he looks a little older than he did. If you wanted to de-age Hayden Christensen to Attack of the Clone levels, you would have to use some crazy de-aging, and it would look flat. It would look like Luke in The Mandalorian. It wouldn't look as good. I like that they said, hey, this is good enough. They understand that this is Attack of the Clones. Now, the Kenobi Obi-Wan de-aging looks absolutely fantastic, but that's also because Ewan McGregor has aged wonderfully, and also half of his face is covered up with facial hair, which helps.
Well, Hayden has aged really well too. It's more that like Attack of the Clones Hayden was like 18.
Yes, he was only like 17 or 18 when he was in that movie, so it's like
I think it's a bit older than that, but like that's less reversible. And also I think they would have a harder time convincing these actors to come back if they were like, we're going to put dots on your face and we're going to have a body double and we're going to fully recreate the past.
Yeah.
Because they, for as much as they like did really great in the prequels and enjoyed their time, they probably didn't want to do a lot of digital stuff. Like it was, they were in blue and green sets a lot of the time, which made it hard for them as actors. And that's something that they've expressed a lot. But I also think it's like kind of perfect anyway, because if you're a theater actor, you have to make everything up too.
Yeah.
I think the criticism about blue and green screens is really overblown because really good actors, can do what they do in any setting.
Yeah.
But the volume offers them the opportunity to really feel immersed.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings me to my next thing. I was going to be like, why are they just on the random porch doing a fight? Don't they have like dojos? Like in the Rebels, you see like the training dojo.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important that one, they show Padme's apartment, and two, that you see blue skies. That's such a contrasting image to everything else in the show. You need to feel this sort of, the Republic is at peace, everything's warm and cozy and nice, and Anakin's a good guy. So that's a good visual way to express that.
I loved it. I loved every bit of the fight scene, and it was so good. Man, I'm starting to remember how much I love Attack of the Clones. Yeah. So something else in this episode that I'm gonna be a little, I don't know if this is a nitpicker, just something that I didn't like it already, and then I saw it online as a complaint, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm not the only one. But is Qui-Gon Jinn the only person in the galaxy who can't survive a lightsaber stab to the gut?
He's the only one that refuses to survive.
Sure, let's call it that.
But this is who Qui-Gon is. Qui-Gon had a bit of foresight with all his dealings with prophecy. He had a bit of a sense of what was to come, and he was trying to become one with the Force.
Mm-hmm.
That was his way of surviving. He didn't need to preserve his own body. Plus, preserving your own body is a Sith/Inquisitor desire to have in the first place, because they're so fearful of dying. It's not that he can't; it's that he wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. I get it. I still don't like it. I wish people would just die. I don't know. It's like, it's almost to the point where it's not making lightsaber fights mean anything. You know, if we keep going, I think it sets a bad precedent for the future of lightsaber fights. Because let's think about the lightsaber. It's real quick. I'm not going to take a whole lot of time. Let's think about the lightsaber fights and how many good guys, or how many people in general have died from live action lightsaber fights. Qui-Gon, right? And the only reason that Count Dooku died is because we chopped his freaking head off. All right. And then Obi-Wan then died, right? But I don't know. We got
Okay, you got to talk about stab wounds specifically.
Right, stab wounds.
Obi-Wan became one with the Force. He mastered what Qui-Gon was setting him up for. So Obi-Wan evaporates. Dooku is chopped off because it needs to be a violent, sort of irreversible a step on the path for Anakin becoming evil. Maul is chopped in half because it looked cool, and also a lot of stuff in Phantom Menace is like about symbiosis and it's all about twos. It's rule of two, Gungans and Naboo. Phantom Menace is all about that stuff. So he gets chopped in two. It feels really satisfying. But so it's like, okay, he comes back. He becomes this like Greek Sisyphus figure of hopelessly always coming back to himself. Maul you agree that Maul needed to survive. That's cool, right?
Yeah, no, that's cool.
And then, the Grand Inquisitor in Rebels dies officially when he falls into the fire. Who else are you thinking of? Kylo Ren, but Rey heals him because she's in love with him and she has the Force.
Kylo, and then we have the Grand Inquisitor. Right? Kylo, Grand Inquisitor, and Reva are the ones that I'm thinking of right now. They're all like.
Was Cal stabbed? I haven't seen Fallen Order, but that happened.
Cal Kestis, no. Oh, but the girl that he's with is stabbed by Darth Vader and survives. Seer.
Fennec gets shot. What did she get shot with? Did she get shot with a Mandalorian pistol.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of just like the people. Like, I think, and yes, we did mention a lot of lightsaber fights where people do die. I just think that it sets if we keep and it all if you notice all the stab wounds that don't end in death have been recent, and I think it can start to set a bad precedent that if you get stabbed, you just survive.
I get the concern, but I think we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If it needs to happen again, it will happen for good thematic reasons, and if it's avoided in the future, it'll happen for good thematic reasons. It
Yeah.
works thematically in Kenobi because when the Grand Inquisitor comes back, he says, "Is it rage or revenge?" I forget what he says.
Revenge, I think.
Either revenge, something for the will to live. What does he say?
I don't remember. I will say though, on a funny note, I saw a timeline today of the Grand Inquisitors, and it was like the list of Grand Inquisitors chronologically, and it was like the Grand Inquisitor this year to this year, Reva one day, the Grand Inquisitor this year to this year.
Revenge does wonders for the will to live.
Mm-hmm.
So that taps into this dark side, fear of death, wanting control. And I think this is waking Reva up to the pointlessness of trying to fit into this cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, they're going to chew her up and spit her out if they need to, and that's what they try to do. Now he's offering her a way out. We went from the beginning to the end, skipped all the middle stuff.
That's okay. Where in the middle would you like to go, my friend? Leia having to go into a control cavity and just like fix the wiring, even though who knows whether she actually knows how to do that or not.
Red for David.
Huh?
Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, important quote from the Jedi Wall on Jabin: "The light will fade, but is never forgotten."
Mm-hmm.
And we forgot the part 3 quote of last episode, which was I forget. It was wise or something. I don't know. There are limits to my memory, folks.
We found it.
Obi-Wan finds a new sleeveless cloak. It possibly belonged to Ki-Adi-Mundi. I'm just kidding.
No, there's no way.
No. Mundi's was different. It had like it fastened in the middle, and it was more like a sleeveless hoodie,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't go all the way down.
Yeah.
Memories back, folks.
You got it. Why don't we
also
talk
looks
about
at all those lightsabers?
Yeah, there's like a whole case of lightsabers.
Which that is a reference to the Phantom Menace documentary where Ewan McGregor finds a case of lightsabers and chooses his lightsaber.
That's only used for one movie.
Yes. I don't know if that's a purposeful reference, but it does. It's kind of.
I don't know. I was also just seeing a clip from that the other day.
One of my favorite documentary scenes is sort of played out in the story now.
Yeah, well, I was watching that scene from the documentary the other day, and it was Ewan McGregor being like, and I just loved the moment that I got to really like. I was looking at these lightsabers, and I saw this one, and I was like, that's Obi-Wan's lightsaber, like, and I just felt really like drawn to this lightsaber, and then George Lucas was like, "Psych, you get another one."
Well, he had to use the one in A New Hope.
I get it. It's just funny. I think it's really funny. Because it's almost immediate.
One movie where he got to be his own thing.
Yeah, but it's like almost immediate in Attack of the Clones. Like it's literally the first scene in the movie he loses his lightsaber, and it's like, well, okay. No, it's Anakin loses his lightsaber, and then he catches it. Never mind. It's the very end. But either way,
has a new one because he lost the one in Phantom Menace. Remember, Maul picked it off into the hole.
That's right. Yeah.
So Kenobi has a new model in Attack of the Clones, but then he loses it again on Geonosis, and then gets a stranger's lightsaber. I don't know what that one looks like.
Yeah, I love that Obi-Wan was like getting on to Anakin for always losing his lightsaber, but he loses his lightsaber twice.
Well, they were fighting Sith Lords. He was fighting Sith Lords. Anakin lost his just jumping through
That's true.
skyline.
That's true. Anyway, so why don't we talk about Reva not she's wanting to fight against Vader. That was I don't know if that was necessarily the full redemption we wanted.
Head, bro. We need to talk about the wall conversation.
The wall. Okay, continue with the wall conversation.
Lloyd, anyone? Okay, this is the episode that would benefit the most from going chronologically, and we're just not doing it.
I'm so sorry.
Because I'll just talk about it now. The framing device of the flashback to Attack of the Clones with this duel is, I think, it's the most impressive writing of the whole show. And
yeah, I agree.
It's what I'm most proud of out of the show. Up until the next episode, I don't know what happens next or tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
This episode was written by Andrew Stanton, and I don't know enough about his writing to know if it's specifically him, but I know that it's a change of pace, a different style that he specifically, I would assume, contributed, because this is only this and the next one are the ones he contributed to. I love the fact that it's not used for lore reasons of like, oh, here's this gap you were wondering about. You know, it is fully immersed in that. Why is this happening? Why do we need to go back to the past? It's because this sheds light on who Anakin is, who Obi-Wan is, and the way that it's just sort of playing out in their minds throughout the episode, I think it's unprecedented for Star Wars TV to really use a flashback for this thematic point, and only for a thematic point. And I think I was just so wowed by that creative choice.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Like I said, it's probably one of my favorite parts of the episode just because of how it's used. And like the fact when everyone's like, nah, he's coming down here. And like, how do you know? And he's like, that's just what Anakin would do. And it's right after you see like Anakin just being super aggressive and always wanting. It's when Obi-Wan tells him, your want for a winning is your downfall. And then Obi-Wan immediately then goes, yeah, he's coming down here because he wants to win. And he's aggressive. He's coming down here. It's that kind of thing.
Before that, Anakin is like winning the fight, and Anakin says, admit you're beaten, and then it goes to Kenobi, and then he decides he needs to admit he's beaten as a way of protecting everyone. That's when he realizes that Vader's only there for him. He's not going to try to destroy the path.
Yeah.
And that's when he gives up his lightsaber and his comm link to Haja. And he says there are other ways to fight. There are alternatives to fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Which he says to Han Solo. Like, he's really getting there. You know, he's not just twirling his lightsaber. He's doing those aphorisms that make him who he is.
Yes.
Not to mention he's back to General Kenobi by organizing. He's like stepping up and doing a speech. Like, here's what we're going to do, you know?
Yeah.
But he's ready to lay himself down on the line. And he's reminiscing on that moment. I just love how like that's how we get there.
When he also does the whole scene with Anakin about him saying something, and then Anakin goes, "Mercy is not how you win fights," and then Obi-Wan gives himself up. Yeah.
Anakin says, "Mercy does not defeat an enemy." And Skystalkers have posted about this. I've heard it in a bunch of podcasts. Mercy literally defeats an enemy in Return of the Jedi.
Yes, it does.
We don't talk about Return of the Jedi enough because Return of the Jedi is kind of the beating heart of everything Star Wars. Like, say what you want about how the battles are of the Ewoks or the structure of the story, that core redemption pathos or myth, that is so many stories in Star Wars that are founded on that principle.
Well, and then also just the fact that Obi-Wan sacrificed himself for the other people. I guess that's not mercy, but it's like, it's on the same lines.
It's knowledge and defense.
Yeah.
Not trying to overpower.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I love that his tactic is connecting with Riva. The wall conversation. Let's talk about the wall conversation.
I love that.
Uh,
Are you looking up specific quotes from it?
oh, I do. We get another flashback, right? So Obi-Wan sort of pieces it together that she was a youngling.
Yeah.
Love this, the wall used as like a sort of symbol for them not fully being on the same page, but Kenobi breaking that through his empathy.
Mm-hmm.
So powerful. And I feel so rewarded throughout the whole show for being like, look how subjective it is with how the camera is telling Reva's story, how many looks she's giving that show not just anger but pain and vulnerability and fear. That this is someone you're supposed to sympathize with. That she's not just this sort of relentless villain. She's not Moff Gideon, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess we were pretty spot on for a lot of Mandalorian things, but that was different because every episode could have been a totally different planet and genre. This is like, they gave us a little bit, and even from that little bit, we were like, we get the spirit of this, and it feels good to be right on this.
Yeah. I don't know. I also, so we get the flashback of her being like, yeah, so he came and he slaughtered everyone, but he like didn't slaughter me. I don't know why she said that he didn't. He's like,
what?
So she said that he spared her. Oh no, she played dead. That's what so she was like playing dead around all of her like dead friends. I'm like, that's so sad. That's like oh my gosh. And then she basically became an inquisitor to get close to him so that she could kill him.
Yeah, classic dark side. Really the best available option in her circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but she still has anger for Obi-Wan. She's still like,
yeah,
where were you when you were trying to kill my friend?
Yeah, she basically blames Obi-Wan. She said, "What were you doing?"
Right, and he was fighting a war. He was, you know, we talked about.
He ended the war, technically.
Yeah, but what if I talked about complicated issues of the Jedi? They, with the knowledge they had, they were doing the best he could. He thought he was bringing peace by fighting, but he was being manipulated by all these things, and the war. Puppet Master Sidious, because of being caught up in that, he was not able to stop what was really happening.
Yeah.
But I also love the meme answer of "Where were you the night he was killing my friends?" Oh, I'm sorry, Riva. I was riding a big lizard.
Yeah, I've seen that. I was riding a very large lizard. Yeah, that whole conversation.
He was just vibing.
I can't wait to see if she gets a full redemption in the last episode.
Redemption. There's a bit. I don't think it's gonna start like that. I think she's gonna start really angry because she knows about Luke now.
Yes.
So she's gonna do a last ditch attempt at being evil, but
this may be how Luke.
You don't keep her alive. You don't punish her. There's no reason to just invent the character to punish. Anakin is already that. Anakin is living out that suffering. You don't just invent Riva and then do another. This is what you get for turning to the dark side. Like, this is that hope. It connects to Vader, connects to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan needs to see someone turn. You know. What were you gonna say?
It's a crazy prediction, so I'll save it for when we do our predictions. Unless you're ready to do predictions.
I want to bring in some of the quotes. Okay, we can talk a little bit more about Tala's sacrifice. That has made me cry both times watching it.
Yeah.
That is so strong. Actions speak louder than words. Like I like that that was in the 2 episodes prior, and then now we're just seeing it. And then
Yeah.
V laying down his life. It's more powerful than K2SO, honestly. Not to be comparing everything, but like it just hits me so much harder.
Yeah.
And I also just I don't know. It's weird. It's like it's so good that I can get over Tala not surviving because I know how much she meant to Obi-Wan,
Mm-hmm.
and I love another good arc in Star Wars where a grumpy old man learns from a a woman. I guess like get that
Yeah.
from like I don't know. Maybe it's not always an old woman, but like Last Jedi had a lot of that, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's just like she was just she's so well performed. Um, Classic thermal detonator sacrifice. Um, I just love it. Do you have any visual effects complaints? Because I feel like the bit where the stormtroopers are all gathered, it looks a bit weird.
I just think the whole like outside the cave looking in, I think it looks a little weak. I also don't really like the hangar bay shot with Vader pulling the ship.
Oh, I thought that was fine. I honestly think it looks better on my laptop right now than it did on my TV.
I
Um,
think
I think
everything just comes down to the fact that they're using the volume so much. And
yeah, it's always like it's always the volume approach is have a bit of details in the foreground, and then the background is sort of this vague, open area a lot of the time.
yeah.
Um, it's strange. We should make a separate episode when we get the time. Just reading Pablo Hidalgo's behind the scenes thread of Revenge of the Sith. He's been quote tweeting Star Wars shot by shot on Twitter, and he's been giving the background for every visual effects thing in Revenge of the Sith. It is so illuminating. Some weird trivia, and some just like really awesome stuff. Really sheds light on how the prequels were made. Anyway,
That's cool.
um, it kind of gives a bit of insight into how we got the volume in terms of like what George Lucas wanted to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But even with the limitations George Lucas had, I still think a lot of the prequel stuff looks better. Even though a lot of it was cobbled together in this sort of hodgepodge kind of way, because he spent like 4 years on that film.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kenobi appeals to Reva by saying, Vader's gonna kill these kids. You don't want that to happen again. Which I think works pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fully understand why she brought him back into the base. Oh, I do. I understand why she would choose that. But what does that mean for the stormtroopers? Like, how do they understand those orders?
Maybe she understood that they couldn't go anywhere, so she was like, "Let me gather all of them up at one time."
It's still like you're setting off a Jedi with 2 stormtroopers. Like what do you think is gonna happen?
Yeah, I don't really get it.
Like I don't know. I understand. Like it doesn't really bother me, but I just wonder like what does the rest of the battalion think is happening?
Yeah,
I
I'm not
love
sure.
this fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan. The moves are so good,
Yeah.
and they echo a lot of Mustafar stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that smile from Hayden.
I want to
This
see
is like
Hayden
really,
Christensen in the Darth Vader costume without his helmet on so bad. We've seen it
we'll talk
twice,
about
but
it.
I want to see it again. So I'm sorry. I will keep saying it. I want to see it. No helmet Vader. No helmet Vader.
Yeah.
I think that the thing that will really set I as much as it's for Obi-Wan, as much as jarring as it is to stand in front of Vader, who is just basically a machine, and for him to go, "Yeah, you did this to me," and then like to see that, what would be even worse for Obi-Wan's mental state would be if he took off his helmet. It was like,
Yeah.
look, this is what I look like now.
Yeah, and I think with with Rebels, the way they did that with Ahsoka, it it was a lot simpler and is like a lot reliant on voice acting as the sort of primary way of connecting with that,
Mm-hmm.
and just the IQ and sort of it's also like not the main story, so like you got to do some Ezra and Kanan stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
With this, you can repeat that, but in a more focused way and in a more in-depth way, and you have the actual performers there to live that. And I think we're
Yeah.
going to see an extended, more like appropriately live action approach to that.
When it's almost more heartbreaking that he is human underneath all of it. It's almost more heartbreaking that he is still under there and he's choosing this. It's like to be this evil. Um, I don't know.
Yeah, I also think. Okay, so Obi-Wan begins the series thinking that he had killed Anakin,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what would Vader want out of Kenobi. I guess he wants to purge everything, but it's so personal that like without him knowing about Luke and Leia, what if Vader ultimately wants Obi-Wan to kill him to finish him off? What if this is all about a death wish?
No, because he was like torturing Obi-Wan.
That was the first step, but he didn't want to kill him, obviously.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I like
You think Vader's suicidal?
regardless. Oh yeah, that's probably I didn't realize how harsh that sounded. I apologize.
It's okay.
Um
I was
I
just
just mean
asking if
that
that's
like
what you meant. I didn't mean it was like that hard. I was like, is that what you mean?
I just mean Obi-Wan's gonna face the choice to kill Vader again.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how flipped that's going to be if it's flipped.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it also brings up so many questions about why Vader or why Obi-Wan wants Luke to kill Vader. Because it could be Obi-Wan wants him to kill Vader just to set him on that path, knowing that he'll find a more Jedi way.
Mm-hmm.
Or Obi-Wan doesn't want to face that choice himself, but he wants it to be done by someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know. I I'm in a weird spot because I'm watching Kenobi and then I'm leading into the original trilogy. Like
Yeah.
by a week after Kenobi ends, I will have finished Rebels, and then I will have watched Rogue One and A New Hope. So I'm less fresh on Obi-Wan original trilogy
Yeah.
quotes and scenes that I'm using to guide me. I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of it's almost like I've totally forgotten it in some ways, so I can't fully. I think it helps though. I think it helps my confusion. I'm not as confused about like why is he like this because I'm not thinking about how it connects.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. There's just some things to remember about. Okay, Vader. Vader pulling the starship is such a good Kenobi decision of like, oh, he's gonna go for the first thing and he's gonna try to destroy it
Mm-hmm.
because again, he believes in no mercy and he believes in taking action. Look no further than the Clone Wars as evidence.
Yeah.
Uh, that was so scary, by the way. Like in the moment watching that, like because you feel that convinced, and I felt a mix of like terror that this is
It's a
happening, and a mix of like, okay, why are they doing this? Why are we seeing Vader pull down a starship? Is why this isn't Force Unleashed?
it's a
But
Rise of
then,
Skywalker callback,
yeah,
kind of,
but then we
but
get
better.
them escaping, and that's just pure. That just relates so much to the duel that's uh
Yeah.
shown throughout this episode. Um, like this. You're a great warrior, Anakin, but your need to prove yourself is your undoing. If you overcome it, Padawan, you will still be. Some people are saying that this means that Obi-Wan's like too discouraging and too harsh. on Anakin, but I think they're missing the point that like this is tough news for Anakin to hear, but he needs to. Anakin should have always known that even with all the criticism he faced from Jedi, he needed to internalize the lesson that fighting is not the goal of a Jedi.
Yeah, and also to be like just practical about it. Obi-Wan doesn't get to decide when Anakin becomes a Jedi Knight. There's literally a test that Anakin has to take. You know? And if Anakin doesn't pass, he is still a Padawan. And so like if you want to think about it that way, if you don't like it, then think of it as like he's literally just telling him, "Hey, you're not going to pass the test if you keep doing this, and you'll still just be a Padawan." So, like, you know, because there's a part where Obi-Wan at the end of Phantom Menace is like, "I passed my test. I'm officially a Jedi now." You know,
and also you can't say that Kenobi's fully cold,
no,
because he still looks at him and smiles, and he gives him that physical affirmation of patting him on the back. Like he's still that big brother.
Yeah.
Maybe you could debate that, you know, they needed to have more safe spaces for Anakin to express his vulnerability. But I mean, Yoda was a full-on therapist as well.
Yeah.
You had three, like he was not even fully booked. Like he had
some
time
therapy
very
sessions
quickly
with
to
Yoda.
talk to Anakin, right? Anakin intentionally hid all this stuff, hid the marriage, hid his dreams from with his mom up to a point, and isn't, you know, we also hid his fascist political leanings. They probably should have, if anything, the Jedi should have been more educated about politics. They should have been making sure that Anakin is not like, yeah, I think dictators are cool.
Yeah.
Besides the point.
Yeah.
Okay, so then that flashback of Anakin being told that his need to be powerful and for victory ensures that he will stay a Padawan. Right after that is when Reva attacks him, and in a way, Vader is relishing that he now gets to be the master in comparison to Inquisitors.
Yeah, he's literally just like dodging her lightsaber strikes. It's kind of ridiculous.
But yeah, like not just in like the action, but like being powerful. He's relishing that he can be like, listen, youngling, I knew all about this. And it's like he's trying to play out this fantasy of being this powerful master. But and it's still from a base of fear and not out of knowledge and defense. I was so scared for Reva in that scene.
Yeah.
You have no idea. That was, again, we've been let down by endings in Star Wars in the past, so I was still not fully sure that she was making it out.
Yeah.
I was so scared. I couldn't even process the anticipation of being mad at the show. I was so immersed in being just like,
yeah,
how did she survive this?
Yeah.
There's like a 1% worry for the finale that she doesn't make it, but I've just been reading so much into it. I just think that there's no other way to end it without her redeeming herself.
Yeah.
I hope she gets a sweater. Okay, let's go full on into predictions.
All right, prediction time.
I hope Reva gets a Ben Solo sweater, and then she joins the Path.
I have a very serious prediction that is big time prediction.
Okay.
This seems, I mean, you may be like, well, duh, when I say this, but it in some book, cannot remember what book it's in. It is said that the reason that Padme is at her funeral, she still has, pregnant belly. They did that on purpose to make it seem like she never gave birth to the kids, to hide it from Vader. I can't remember where I read this, but it was said that they did that so that they buried her or whatever at their funeral like that, so that people in general would think that she never gave birth. Well, so what if in this next episode Reva is the one who tells Vader that he has a son. Like, what if Reva
Wait,
is
are
the
you saying
reason that
that Padme was not visibly pregnant in the funeral scene?
she was?
She was.
That's what I'm saying.
What was hidden though?
The fact that she gave birth.
What are you saying?
She was so when she's dead in the funeral scene at the end of the movie, she looks visibly pregnant. Yes, but she had already given birth.
Women's stomachs don't go down immediately after giving birth, Spencer.
I know, but anyway, whatever. The main point of my prediction is that Reva is the reason that Vader knows about Luke. Like, he did not know Luke existed before this.
No, but he doesn't know who Luke is in A New Hope. And then in Empire Strikes Back is when Vader's like, I suspect that my son is alive.
Oh, does he? I thought he knew by the time A New Hope came
So
out.
it makes sense. It makes sense just within the original trilogy. But then I also heard that there was like a Vader comic where they in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, he finds out that he has a son.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Forget
I said anything.
Any other predictions? Do you have a prediction for Haja?
I think he'll wield a lightsaber. I really hope so. I want him to wield a lightsaber so bad. I'm so glad they brought him back. I thought he wasn't going to come back after the first episode, and I was like actually disappointed.
If they count that case of unused lightsabers, that'd be interesting.
Everyone is using one. Everyone's using one.
I hope we see more of Sully, played by Maya Erskine. She's great in this romantic comedy called Plus One.
Mm-hmm.
She's also in the Hulu show Pen 15. I've heard a lot of great things about it. I just haven't found the time to watch it. She's really good comedically, but then she comes into Star Wars and just rocks it dramatically.
Yeah,
really cool. I always love those like bit parts for Rebellion pilots and stuff like that. We didn't mention O'Shea Jackson Jr. as Roken.
Oh yeah,
Ice Cube's son.
Yeah.
Nice bit of like he looks like he has like a lot of history, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be cool to see him join the rebellion in something or whatever. What are you gonna say?
Do you think we'll get another flashback scene? Another Obi-Wan Anakin flashback in this?
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Revenge of the Sith flashback.
That's what I was thinking, Revenge of the Sith.
Now that we've proven, like, them doing an Attack of the Clones era one is not even what people expected.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're doing a more obscure one makes me feel like, yeah, they're probably going to do a Revenge of the Sith one. I think they're going to be using it in a totally different way, different device. It's not going to be like a repeated thing.
No, I think it'll be
more of like a dream,
a nightmare scene, yeah.
Or I don't know. Lots of things to predict about this finale. Also, we forgot that this ends with Obi-Wan feeling this sort of sense of danger for Luke, and it closes with these like early morning shots of the Lars homestead. And yeah, Reva knows. So she's gonna go to Tatooine. Don't know how she's gonna get there. I don't know if there's a ship there.
Why does everyone want to go back to Tatooine?
I think it also sets up a choice for Obi-Wan, possibly, in that Obi-Wan might have to choose between fighting Vader and getting closure, or saving Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Also, a crucial prediction, a really 50-50 kind of thing is Vader going to show up on Tatooine or not? Because I've been torn about this.
I don't think so.
Because if you want to be literal, some of the promotional art has him on Tatooine facing off with Anakin or with Obi-Wan, but it's the exact shot composition that was from part 3.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we're just going to mix this part because that's the story, but then it's also like Tatooine because that's where we're starting and ending. plus we got this concept art of them fighting on Mustafar.
I think what's
Um,
probably going to happen is we start off in Tatooine, on Tatooine. He stops Reva from getting Luke. We get a redemption, however you pronounced it, and they both go fight Vader.
I don't.
That doesn't
That
make
makes
sense
me
either.
nervous
That
because I
doesn't
don't
make
want to
sense
see.
either.
I don't want to see her redeem herself and die. Oh, it's so. I have no idea how this is gonna go,
I don't either.
which
This
is
is like,
exciting.
I love it.
It's so.
I need Leia to see right through Reva. There's still a chance that she could do it. I need it.
I really want Reva to have like a new hairstyle and a sweater and just have this sort of good guy look, and she joins the path.
Also,
And
am I mistaken in the fact that Leia didn't look super surprised when she found out that Luke was her brother on Endor?
I don't think she knows.
What? But
I don't think she knows in this show.
what if this episode's like, hey, we gotta go Tatooine and save your brother?
I think it makes sense to take care of. I don't know. No, okay, because the stakes are so. They're setting it up like this. The stakes are now Luke. I think Leia might be dropped off at the beginning of the episode.
There's no way they're not gonna finish Leia. Like they're not gonna finish this season with Leia.
I just know that it has to end with Luke, and you can't have Luke and Leia in the same place. So get that taken care of from the beginning.
Yeah, makes sense. I don't know. All I know is that I'm excited for it, and I cannot wait.
I don't know. Do you think Vader's going to make it out alive?
No,
One could say he's been dead all this time.
mentally probably.
Yeah. It goes without saying we're not going to see Commander Cody.
Yeah. I yeah. There's so many predictions we can make. I just want to watch it. I don't even care about my predictions anymore. Because we know so little about what's about to happen that it's like impossible to make a good prediction.
Yeah. I forgot to mention, because we're so removed from seeing these for the first time, I did watch part 5 at 3 a.m.
Oh, really?
Because what was I doing? I might have been watching. Oh, I was watching Twin Sons. I was watching Rebels Twin Sons. Back home on a TV, and I fell asleep until like 2:30, and then I just found it in me to like finish Twin Sons and then go right into part 5. I was deliriously awake. Yeah, I had a problem the past 2 weeks not actually getting sleep on my days off. I've since corrected that.
That's good.
I might stay up this time.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else before we end the podcast so you can maybe get a nap before the episode?
I acknowledge the irony of me saying, "Hey, manage your expectations. Don't be so glued to certain things appearing in shows," while also being like, redemption is the only way.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be disappointed if she died. That sort of stuff. It's just a very highly educated guess, mixed with a strong desire for them not to bring in a black female character, only to kill her as she's struggling to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
He just deserves to be in Star Wars. And we will save any discussions about a Kenobi season 2 or spin-off ideas till the next episode. I don't want to talk about that right now. I'm just enjoying the 6-part limited series right now.
Yeah.
It's a shock that so many things that we didn't expect we're just so on board with, Leia, like.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it. So we'd like to thank you for not watching. You may be watching, but thank you for also listening to this episode of We Can Know Kenobi. If you want to find us on any of our social medias, you can find us at Last Hours Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or the Last Hours Podcast on Facebook and YouTube. On YouTube, we post all the podcasts, so you should go check it out.
If you didn't know, now you can know.
Now you can know. Well, also, you can email us at lasthourspod@gmail.com. And one thing that you might could email us is your response to what I'm about to say, because while we were recording, we got some nice. I just got notified of a little bit of news that dropped. So I figured out this is important enough to me that I want to mention on the podcast and get your reaction to it. But Cameron Monaghan, however, I don't remember how to pronounce his name, plays Cal Kestis in the Fallen Order series, is rumored to star in a live-action Cal Kestis Disney Plus spinoff. Came out about an hour ago that they may be doing a Disney Plus spinoff of Fallen Order, and that Cameron Monaghan will play him. I think that would be pretty awesome, and I would be super down for that. But if you think differently, or if you think the same, you should email us. Let us know what you think about it. What do you think, Christian? You've never played Fallen Order, so you don't know how cool it is.
Yeah, it's just that we're already doing so much prequel original trilogy bridging that
okay,
we hold off? Can we hold off on these ooh, everyone likes this character, let's do this. Why can't we do why can't we start with interesting directors and writers and see what they want to do? I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, whatever you think, you should email us. Last but not least, StarWarsNowThis.com is the first is the first link in the description. And you can find all the Star Wars podcasts you can ever dream of. We love the website, and we love Daniel, who runs it. So thank you for listening to this episode of We Can Know Kenobi, and we will see you in 3 days for our final episode of We Can Know Kenobi. See you then.